How's everyone doing? Welcome to the final episode of After the After Hours with your boy TraderPrad. The final day of this week. Is tomorrow going to be a free fall Friday? Now get ready for tomorrow. Powell going on the microphone. Powell going on the microphone again. Get ready for tomorrow. So I do have a watch list ready, but if you guys are ready, hit that like and subscribe. Hit that like and subscribe. Thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the support. This is your boy TraderPrad. TraderPrad. But if you guys are ready for this show to get started, why don't we dive into the full screen and hit that like and subscribe. All right, how's up, people? How we doing? Let me bring the music down. Let's switch over to the screen, and there we go, locked and loaded. How we doing, people? Brand new day, brand new week. Not a brand new month, but brand new day and a brand new week. It is Monday, June 23rd, 2-3. That's right, the best number out there for multiple reasons. For those of you who know, you know. If not, you know, it is what it is. But June 23rd, markets, I guess you could say, had a pretty good day overall, right? I'm not sure if the markets actually ended green or red. Let me quickly go take a look at, overall, all that matters is what the after hours story is on the market. But the markets did end green. A nice, beautiful green day on the market overall today. Ripping to the upside in the after hour. All-time high seems imminent. So beautiful moves across the board. And some stocks went absolutely crazy. For example, Tesla went nuts. HIMS went absolutely destroy mode. HIMS got crushed to the downside. Then you had a couple other stocks such as Microsoft breaking all-time high, SMCI doing a convertible note offering, which put pressure on the stock to the downside. A couple other stocks moving here and there. But the main story of the market overall today, honestly, was HIMS. It was Tesla. It was US oil. And if you're watching those names, you most likely made money on the day today. It was not a hard day at all, and I for sure had a profitable day. So let's talk about my trades on the day, and then I do have a watch list prepared for us to go over just to be ready for some of the movers for tomorrow. See if we can find a day 2 opportunity or you know, some sort of a setup to take advantage of, and then we'll call it a night from there. I do see Barkit wants us to take a look at a couple names, so for sure when we do get to that part of the stream, Barkit, we'll take a look at NBIS, HIMS, and APP. HIMS already on my watch list, but I can add the other two on there. TH is in the house. What's up, TH? Always good to see you. And if you guys are watching me on Kick, on Twitch, on Twitter, say hello in the chat so I can say hello back to you. Let's talk about my trades on the day. As I mentioned, I had a profitable day. Wasn't sure if I was going to trade today or not, but, you know, once I figured that I am going to trade today, there was a very good catalyst on Tesla that you just could not ignore. So figuring that catalyst on Tesla was important, quickly logging into my trading account and taking advantage of the setup that I spotted. A really good opening range breakout. Now, had I actually been logged in earlier and had I not forgotten the robotics catalyst, you know, I didn't really read any reports or anything in the morning today like I usually do. So I did know about the Robotaxi event last night. So I kind of knew what to expect today. I expected all of this from Tesla, but at the same time, I forgot about it in the morning. So when I woke up, I just completely forgot about it. Didn't read any of my reports. I was just in the mindset that I usually lose Monday, so maybe I'm gonna take it easy on Monday, not really do anything. But then, you know, I started remembering, hey, wait, Tesla's going insane. Why is Tesla going insane again? Oh, right, Robotaxi. Oh, wait, this is a really good setup. So quickly logging in and taking advantage of the setup. But like I said, again, I wish I was long down here. I wasn't, but better late than never. So a little bit late on the entry, still managing to capture a pretty good move to the upside. 2-minute bar trailing some profits over here. 5-minute bar trailing some profits over here. Basically ends up being in the same area around $14, oddly enough. Later on, that stock continues to keep going higher, making another high a day, allowing me to, I was going to trail the rest of the position to the 9 EMA, but because the stock never really broke 9 EMA, pushed much higher, then I was able to reset the exit mechanics. The exit mechanics now again going to 2-minute trail, and then the 5-minute trail, basically again once around the same area. So maybe I could just stick to the 5-minute trail and not really take the 2-minute trail. It really depends on how extended the stock is for the 2-minute or the 5-minute, and also how much percentage you're taking profits in each of those trailing methods. So some tweaking possibly could be made over here so I could capture a bigger move with bigger size. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how I traded on this position, managing to get the most out of it. Last but not least, exit was, if you draw a trend line from these lows to this low to this low, you kind of have a trend line coming into play where it basically breaks right here, and also happens to be where the stock is double topping on the 1 minute, where the stock is also, you know, having a nice little range break to the downside over here, seller to the upside, buyer to the downside, and the range buyer break cracking. So all things considered, that is right there the trend ending for me. So end of the trend, and you can see how that was actually kind of the right idea. Even though the stock did go sideways, the trend basically died off in this area, and that was the most I could have gotten out of that trade, thankfully. And you know, I had no more shares anyways, even if it did go higher. Later on, there was a short opportunity. This is a nice little failed break a high a day. Later on, it also pulls back into that high a day area and rejects back to the downside right when the US oil news comes out. So that also helps out with this trade over here. So had you been interested on the short side, that's possibly something to keep an eye out for. I wasn't interested on the short side at all. I didn't want to give back my profits on a winner by being too overconfident, so I just passed on this opportunity and I focused on HIMS instead, to look for a short on HIMS because it was one of the most weakest stocks on the day today. So absolutely destroyed in the pre-market. Announced that Novo Nordisk is pulling their partnership because HIMS has questionable marketing, and they're also apparently mixing the GLP drugs and not really sticking to the real drug that they are supposed to be, or something along those lines. I might be paraphrasing here, but overall not looking good for HIMS because that deal was supposed to be a big deal for them. That was their gateway drug. I get it, drugs, they're selling drugs, they're marketing drugs. That was their gateway drug to be involved in the GLP, the peptides, the weight loss loss business, right? So far, I think they're in the hair loss, the erectile dysfunction. I'm not sure what else they're in. Maybe some has skincare for female. But overall, they're not in the weight loss by themselves without the help of, especially without the help of NVO, Novo Nordisk. So taking a little bit of a beating on evaluation. I think their PE was also pretty expensive. It was in the 68 last time I checked. So if they're losing a big enough of a deal like that, you're expecting investors to sell, and that's exactly what happened in pre-market. Investors offloaded on the stock in pre-market, but sadly, they didn't buy. You didn't find any buyers on the dips. I was looking for a long opportunity on the dip, I'll be honest, but like right here, no real good sustainable power on the long. The stock never really capitulated for the long. It never got back above VWAP for the long, and there were maybe a couple setups that you could have used to take advantage of a long, which I'll show you guys really quick. But because of how weak the stock just was all day, I was more interested in just looking for the short setups instead. So a pop over here into the opening range breakout, look to see if I could get short for extended move, but that got bought right back up. However, after that getting bought up, you can see how right in this area, that happened to be the 21 EMA on the 5-minute chart. So right at the 21 EMA, the stock is struggling. This also happens to be right at the $46 area. So it's creating a range. You have a seller at 46, you have a buyer at 45.50, and we're going back and forth and fighting in that area. Eventually that buyer cracks. The stock pushes all the way down to 45, bounces off of 45 a little bit, so I'm taking some profits using the 2-minute trails, and then eventually that bounce exactly where 45.50 was, it pops into 45.50 and then gets slammed back to the downside, showing you that sellers are still in control. But however, after sellers push it back down right into 43.50 area, 44 area, you can see buyers showing up on the bid. They are showing up with good size too. Each time we pushed into the buyer, each time we push into the buyer, we're just instantly pushing off of the buyers and looking like the stock is about to create a higher low, which is not what you want to see if you're short on the stock. So noticing that, taking profits on the way down, and protecting myself from a possible pop. Thankfully that pop never came in, and I had a stop for my last few shares that I had left, for a stop above 44.21 or so. And you can see how on each one of these pops, even though buyers were trying to step up, they were not able to overpower the sellers, and sellers cracking it lower and breaking again the low a day. But sadly, just as the previous low a day broke, this one also breaks low a day and instantly gets back above low a day. So noticing that, I'm taking my 5-minute trail exit, taking my profits, and I'm walking away with this. I mean, I'm really risking on these entries over here maybe 20 cents. On that entry over there, I'm supposed to be risking 50 cents, but realistically I'm probably risking 10-15 cents on that entry too. And especially after this pop and reject, all of my stop for this whole trade comes over here, which ends up being 15 cents, 20 cents in profit. So overall, I am not risking much on this trade. I end up getting a very big winner out of it. So monster trade on this one on HIMS. Sadly, I wish I was taking advantage of this trade right here, where you get a second chance scalp also right into the pre-market lows. Stock breaks into the downside, breaks the pre-market lows, pops right back up, rejects the pre-market lows, and then breaks back to the downside. So there's a short here that you could have taken advantage of, but I do love this short right here also. Tons of trades today that you could have taken on HIMS, on Tesla, on Circle. So yeah, obviously if you guys are interested in taking a look at all of my notes, let me quickly show you the notes I'm talking about. Here is a notes on Circle that I took today. So how would you have traded Circle today? taking that opening range breakout somewhere in this area. You have a high day pre-market high breakout right there. This area is where everything gets really special on the stock. You have a backside scalp that's failed. You have a pop into the high day, a double top short sale, which is actually playing out perfectly. Then you have again a trend line, all day trend line breaking, not really an all day, but the big trend line for pretty much off the open. That breaks and that lines up with the exact same level as the previous support right at 290.50. So all of that aligns just like your stars, your ducks, your goose, whatever you want to call it. All those align in one area, giving you a beautiful short opportunity and a nice little move to the downside. Sadly, I did not pay for shorts today because I didn't think today would be one of these trades on Circle, but with the move it had to 300, I think expecting the stock to go above 300 was insane, and I should have paid for some shorts on this name. So obviously tomorrow Circle is a big name, and if you guys are interested on more notes like this, because I try to take notes every single day, I did get a little lazy for a few weeks. I'll be honest, I got a little lazy for a few weeks. I still did them. You can see how even though I got lazy, I still did some days in there. So I made sure that, you know, I wasn't 100% lazy. But now we're gonna get back on the horse and at least do the ones that are in my focus and have the setups that I want to trade. For example, OKLO, maybe not really the best name to focus on today, and I wasn't really focusing on it either. It wasn't on my radar, but it was on one of my charts, and quickly at a glance when I was going through my charts, I noticed OKLO was below $60, which is a pretty important level. You can say 59, 60, and it was below it. This area right here on this pop and reject is where you ideally want to be short, because the stock is not able to reclaim to get above 59 and get above that $60 area, which is important. So that is probably a short somewhere in this area. Maybe even once it gets back below VWAP in this area, you have that breakdown, you have the second chance scalp, then you have the opening range breakdown or the low end day breakdown. However, this is where I kind of saw the stock and I'm like, oh wow, OKLO looks like a pretty good opening range breakdown, but I passed on it because it didn't really have too much volume, and relative volume is pretty important if you want to see an extension on a move like this. However, without relative volume, the stock ended up giving you a great move on that breakdown. You would have basically been short 55.70, if I remember correctly, was the low of day at that point. You would have been short 55.70 and pretty much get a move all the way down to 53, and then a second leg move down to 52. So missing out on that gave me a lot of FOMO. You even had this pop and reject. So if you missed out over here, you could have basically caught it in this area, which also I passed on because the stock didn't have RVOL. So that tilted me a little bit, seeing that it ended up playing the way it did, and that made me, you know, then force a trade eventually later on. I was like, okay, if the stock gets back under 54, I'll just take the short below 54 and I'll risk 55. A very simple brained logic and very stupid if you ask me, honestly. But I got lucky. Thankfully, it popped, never really pushed to the upside, never triggered the 55 stop, and immediately got flushed to the downside. When that flush took place, I was now thinking I'm a genius, and you know, I am in the right direction, and then I can actually turn this trade into a real trade if this little range that it's creating, it's able to break below that range. So it actually does break below that range and makes me add more size to that trade, but I'm also noticing how it's really bringing in buyers over here and not looking good exactly how I want to see. So once I see a couple things that going against me, I'm instantly covering size and then last but few shares, quickly taking a loss on that one. So my only real loser on the day today is because I basically FOMO'd or forced the setup, forced the trade because I didn't take a trade from earlier that could have been a winner. So pretty stupid to take a trade like that and then ended up losing on that one overall. But hey, positive day. They can't complain on that one. Nice little green day to start the week. Let's see if we can continue with that momentum into the end of this week and into the end of the month, baby. Into the end of the month. We got Josh and we got John in the house. What's up, Josh? What's up, John? How you doing? JVS, baby. How you doing? Hopefully you guys had a wonderful weekend. Spent some time with your family. If you're in the East Coast, I'm not sure how it is in the West Coast right now, but if you're on the East End, it is absolutely hot, boy. The AC in my house also seems to be brokey, so it's not working at the fullest functionality that it could be, and it is absolutely ridiculously summer hot in this room at the moment, and I've been getting cooked all day. It's been painful. So hopefully, you know, you guys are doing better, drinking your water. Actually, I haven't been drinking water all day either. I'm having a little bit of a headache. With every single word I'm saying, I'm having a little bit of a headache. So that's probably why, because dehydration. So let me drink some water here real quick. No Tills is in the house. What's up, No Till? 12-hour day in this bullshit. Man, I don't know how you do it. Make sure you, my friend, are staying cool because you're actually staying out in the hot and working in the heat, which is insane. I don't know how you do it. Stay safe, brother. Stay safe. Okay, so those are my trades on the day. I did have a Coinbase trade, but it was basically a scratch trade. I was profitable on it, but overall a scratch trade. I don't think is anything worth talking about on that one, so I didn't post that trade today. I had 4 trades overall, 3 winners, 1 loser, and green day. So we take that as a winner. Well, it is a winner, not take that as a winner. We take that winner, we take our lessons from the loser, and we try not to repeat them tomorrow or ever again. Okay, let's go to the watch list. I already made the watch list, so don't think I really need to be showing you guys the center point page anymore, but something I want to show you guys is pretty interesting that Perplexity is working on is this financial tab. If you actually click on, I think you have to pay for this, obviously, so if you pay for Perplexity Pro, on their financial tab, you can see the gainers on the day, the losers on the day, the most active, and if you click on one of these gainers or losers, it will immediately take you to a quick little snapshot about that stock. You can read the latest news about it, the key issues, is it bullish, is it bearish, the latest price movement timeline. So how is the stock trading recently and what was the news for it? Dropped 16% on June 20th on rumors on leaks regarding upcoming corporate actions as trading activity spiked ahead of the weekend. So a little activity over here that you can see, not all the way back, but pretty fair back. You can see the activity for some of these stocks, and also quick glance at earnings report. I mean, this is absolutely broken. So shout out to Perplexity Finance, and I would actually love for Perplexity Finance to you know, maybe support my stream over here and sponsor the stream, and hook a brother up over here. But more than happy to pay you guys for the software because I love Perplexity at the moment. I've been using them at an insane capacity, and just the fact that you can now look at stocks, day trading, investing type of stuff over here, it just makes it even better. So you can see how Amgen was down today for some reason. Shares fell sharply today after investors reacted negatively to the company's phase 2 obesity drug results. So another stock in the drug result in the obesity case, in the obesity sector, sorry, and Trust. I think this was basically a buyout possible rumor, if I remember correctly, and they said nope, we're gonna stay private still, or not private. We're gonna still be individual. Also a snapshot of earnings, and this is pretty cool. Snapshot of earnings. If you click on, I think if you click on this. Okay, yeah, that's right. So when they actually report earnings, like maybe today, is there something that reported earnings today that we could uh, click on? KBH reported earnings today, right? Okay, bullish view, bearish view. Despite beating Q2 estimates, KB home sales fell by 10% year over year, and its full year revenue guidance midpoint was cut to. I mean, why do you need Benzinga or anything else anymore? This is like a $20 per month is what you're paying for this, and this basically replaces your browser. This replaces your financial tools. You don't need trade ideas anymore. Like, Perplexity is absolutely a game changer, and on top of that, as I said, key insights from the transcript, so you can see how much it recently beat on the earnings report. They reported today after hours. They beat by 1.16%, and they beat EPS by 3.45%. Expected move was 8.25%. I don't think it played out that way. Well, might have. It popped and it went back to the downside. Here is the earnings transcript that you can actually now have it already summarized for you. So key insights for the earning transcript and previous earnings transcripts over here. This is absolutely insanity, right? This is absolutely insanity. Hopefully I'm selling to you guys to invest in yourself by investing in AI, because this is the future. If you are into day trading, swing trading, investing by any means, and you are not looking at Perplexity to help you out, then I think you're making a big mistake. Even the fact that you can download the data with the click of a button and then have Perplexity read through this and create a dashboard on the investment possibilities on KBH Home or whoever that reports the next day, or when they report, or on live as they report. The capabilities are insane at the moment. So tomorrow possibly SNX might be something that I'll try to use this tool. I just wanted to highlight it to you guys to keep an eye out for Perplexity Finance. Now obviously if you're paying for it, there's a lot more that you can do with Perplexity Labs, Perplexity Research, that I'm gonna lose my mind eventually playing with all that. But this is something that they have already built, not something that you have to create. It's a dashboard within their software. It's also on their web platform, so you don't need to download the broker, but just from within their platform itself, I am like losing my mind. The fact that I don't have to why do I need Benzinga Pro anymore? Like, I'm sorry, I am sponsored by Benzinga Pro, and I really hope that they're not watching this channel at the moment, because they're gonna revoke my sponsorship for me talking in this way. It's just AI is just, it's a game changer at the moment, and I'm in love with it. And they are adding new things every single day, like the one I mentioned to you guys today, the timeline. They added this timeline 6 hours ago, or maybe now 8 hours ago. It shows you a nice snapshot of exactly what the stock moved, why the stock moved, and the news for it, what was the price for that move. I mean, awesome tool. Shout out to Perplexity. Now that I've sucked enough Perplexity's cock, let's move on to the watch list that I actually had for us tomorrow. Starting with some earnings names. Ooh, you know what Perplexity failed at is highlighting that there was a earnings tomorrow. CCL. Maybe they don't report tomorrow, or maybe they'll update in the morning. We'll see how this one plays out. But there is a fail over there. So always do your homework also. Don't just rely on AI completely. So according to earnings whispers. CCL reports tomorrow pre-market. That's usually a name that's worth keeping an eye on for a day trade. And you can see, oh, nice pop back up over here on CCL today. Originally starting off to the downside and then ripping back up, and looks like it wants to basically start trading above 24 tomorrow. I might as well delete some of these lines. I only have 2 lines. Delete those 2 lines, and look at that. So selling off the open, and then recovering very well, basically recovering as the market recovered after the Qatar strike scare that we had, and recovering with that. And given that it has earnings report tomorrow, is this indication that somebody knows something? So it'll be very surprising to see. Well, not surprising, I guess. It will be very obvious to see if the stock starts to break out higher tomorrow, that somebody knew something today. So let's keep an eye on this one. If we start seeing this one above 24, I think that's good enough of a long opportunity for a move to 24.50. But if you're reporting earnings tomorrow, and given the way you moved today, I would want to see the stock above 24.50 already in the pre-market. That way, any dips above 24.50, any dips above 25 on the intraday regular trading hours will just be a much easier long opportunity. So you could keep an eye out for 24 as an inflection level, but for me is basically that 24.50 / 24, what was that, 24.66? It is 24.66. So 24.66 area is where I'll be keeping an eye on. Let me make sure that I don't have adjusted for dividends turned on. I don't. Is a better area to keep an eye on. If we're above that and showing strength above that with a good earnings report, it's showing growth, I am looking forward to smash the long on this name tomorrow as a day trade. Potentially even worth keeping an eye on for a swing trade. Not sure how the financials are on this name, but that's obviously that's gonna be a story for tomorrow, right? We'll see if it plays out that way. If you do get the breakout above 25, I mean, that does look like a decent enough of a setup to join the long for the swing trade. Maybe you get a move to 29, maybe you get a bigger move to 29 if the earnings report ends up actually being really good. So obviously worth watching for the day and the swing trade. And you might have some sympathy movers along with it, not the airliners, but sympathy movers in the cruise liners like RCL, NCLH, VIK, NCLH. How are you doing recently? Horrible. VIK, Viking Holdings. How are you doing? Ooh, this one could be something to keep an eye out for. Also very similar CCL move today. You can see how it started off the day lower, pop right back up. If this starts trading above 50 tomorrow with CCL's earnings report, then that could be also an easy no-brainer long, and watch it go to 53. That'll be something to keep an eye on. Sadly, relative volume will probably not be that high, and you might not get that big oomph move that you're looking for, but just sympathy trade. As long as the stock holds above 50, I think there's a long there that you could take advantage of. But just keep in mind that there's going to be better trades tomorrow. So let's talk about these better trades tomorrow, starting with HIMS. Your erectile dysfunction selling company looks like it could use a little bit of its own medicine, huh? Absolute boner killer. The stock was being touted as one of the best stocks out there, the next Palantir. Okay, maybe nobody said the next Palantir, but it was obviously on everyone's radar for a big long opportunity, and maybe it was for a good reason. They are not that bad of a company. I'm not sure how well their hair loss company or hair loss pills actually work, or how well their work, or how well their ED pill works. Thankfully, I don't have to figure that part out yet. What else do they sell? Well, not anymore the obesity, no more the GLP-1 stuff, but maybe eventually they'll find a way to make a deal again. I can see him figuring out to make a deal again, and these will probably just be a dip buy opportunity. Last time I checked the PE ratio for this company, oh god, what am I opening? Last time I checked, the PE ratio for this company was 68. With today's drop, it's at 61. So 61 PE, still a little bit expensive, but you know, I can show you guys companies with a much higher PE. For example, Carvana, right? 600, oh, not Carvana, Palantir with 611 PE, but that's not stopping people buying Palantir up here. And Circle, I'm not even sure Circle, you know, 828, but that's not stopping people going long into 300 apparently, when the stock was supposed to open at $31 and opened into what, 70, and now is at 300. So that doesn't, PE is not like an end all be all ratio, but something to worth keeping an eye out for. So Hims with the pretty expensive PE, with the way it sold off the open today, and the weakness all day today, I think was pretty indicative. This is something that I usually like to keep an eye on a big move and on a big volume spike day. How does the stock behave on the next few days at the midpoint of this day? So basically 45, it says 45.14. I'm just gonna round it down to 45 to make our life easier for the stream. So around 45, if the stock starts to show some weakness on the pops tomorrow, potentially worth keeping an eye on for the short side. Also, where's today's VWAP? Today's VWAP would be 45.50, 45.40. So basically 45 to 45.50 is something to maybe look for a short if you want to look for a short on this name. But if you are interested for a dip by long, then that is what you want to see being reclaimed. You want to see the stock reclaiming 45, reclaiming 45.50, today's VWAP, and start looking bullish above this area, above this price. And at that point, you can say, okay, buyers are stepping back in. They are reclaiming today's midpoint area. Potentially, we'll see that bullshit rule where gaps always have a gap fill eventually. So maybe you'll see a gap fill and then a sell push back to the downside. At the moment, the 200 EMA is still a slope to the upside, and the stock did sadly break below the 50-day moving average. So 50-day moving average, it's under it. 200-day moving average is still a slope to the upside, and then the obvious other two moving averages are gonna be a sharp move down. At this point, I think 45 will be a little bit of a peg point, a little bit of a barrier on the pops tomorrow. But if it starts showing support above 45, there's just no long for me on this name. So that's going to be my inflection. I could say resistance 45, but realistically, it's more an inflection level tomorrow for me to keep an eye out for. Tesla. Now, this is actually pretty cool breakout the way we played out on Tesla. Right off the pre-market, obviously pre-market level a little bit lower, but awesome pre-market breakout into 330, 327.50 or so. But the breakout right into this area lines up with the previous 2-week high, not really last week, but the week before that high. So it lines up with that week before's high, and the opening range breakout just has a really good blast off from there on for us to party with. So really enjoyed the long on Tesla today, but the question is, how does Tesla behave tomorrow, especially given the fact that Trump declared peace? You know, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, I told you guys it's gonna happen. Trump has declared ceasefire, or maybe he said ceasefire is going to happen in the next 6 to 12 hours, and peace is on very soon. It's very on the verge of peace. And if that does end up playing out that way, then you know, what is stopping the market to going into all-time highs? Only thing left is the Fed getting a rate cut and blasting the market to even more higher. So I mean, that dip buy into Tesla near 300 that we saw recently, that was insane, right? Dip buy into 300, that was insane, and now popping right back up, showing you that buyers are willing to step in every single dip on this name, especially the ones who missed on the run up. Anyone who missed on this run up, they were gladly willing to buy it back on this dip over here, clearly, and run it back to the upside. So now you want to see the stock basically holding above 335 tomorrow. That will be the first line of defense. If it doesn't get back below, if it does get below today's VWAP. So the first line of defense is actually today's VWAP. Then the second line of defense is 335. If it gets below 335 tomorrow, then that will be the kind of the pattern killer for this breakout. Then we might have a little bit of more sideways action before another breakout. So important to see how we play out. If we hold above today's VWAP, there might be a breakout above today's high and a continuation above today's high. But if we hold below today's VWAP and above 335, then maybe you just see some sideways action over here tomorrow. But sadly, if this does not hold, that's probably taking us back to the downside. I don't think that's in the permutation. I think there's two permutations here, above, or three, above today's VWAP, above today's high, and then above 335.50. So expecting 335.50 to be a support, expecting 360 area to be somewhat of in play as a resistance. Not really true resistance, but in play for us to keep an eye out for. And then today's VWAP 347 on the 5-minute. Obviously we'll be watching to see how the stock plays off of that. Bigger in play name tomorrow, most likely Circle. Thank God that this one actually didn't close below 250, because that would have potentially the way he would, but I could try. I can't even pull it up. Okay, awesome. Never mind. I tried to pull up the options chain for you guys using TradingView. They don't even have it on there. But Circle, if you pull up the gamma options, which is right here. Let me go. Where is the page? I usually have it open. There it is. If you go to the gamma options on this, you can see how 300 was a big call wall, and that means the stock getting above that would really blow up the stock to the upside. You're gonna see a lot of options buyers coming in, and the longer we spent above 300, the stock just was gonna blow up more to the upside. And the main gamma flip point where they could start having the unwind, for example, if they were writing 250 calls and the stock is clearly above 250, now they have to buy the stock to hedge themselves so they don't get hurt as the stock keeps going higher and higher. But once the stock starts to spend time under that 250 249 area, they can now sell their positions and not be holding that position that they bought to be gamma neutral or delta neutral, and you know, then they'll be start dumping their positions, which is where you'll see the unwind on the position and the sell-off. Usually from what I have done my research and learned from watching the GOATs and the pros trade, is this trade happens in the middle of the week, on the hump day, Wednesdays, Thursdays, going into the options expiry of the week. So I don't want to see that trade setting up today. It was so close, especially with that whole Qatar strike news. We were so close into setting up that trade today, and I was gonna be so sad because I didn't pay for the shorts on this name at all. So thankfully it did not close below 250, and I think longer time we spent above 250, and if we do get above 300 and spend time above 300 tomorrow going into Wednesday, this is where things will start to get really fun on the name. So watching the name get above 300, spending time above 300, and then unwinding as it starts to get below 300, going into the big gap up. I mean, given this news into the after hours and the market moving after hours, I wouldn't be surprised if this gaps up or even pops into the 300 and then breaks 300 off the open and then does some crazy stuff. So for sure the number one priority over here tomorrow for us, Circle, because we don't know if it's gonna get the squeeze up high long or the first red day short. And boy, was it close to go green to red today. We were so close to go green to red, and I was gonna cry that I missed on this short today. So I'm just gonna be happy that it didn't end up playing out that way. Obviously watching inflection level 300, you can say 249 250 as a support, but clearly that's not the support, as as the stock did get below it, and how volatile this name is and how spready this name is. You can't just use a simple straight up flat number like that. It's gonna, you know, whip around a little bit, so you're gonna have to be a little careful with where you're setting your stops, how you're entering into the position. Make sure you're, you know, using proper setups to trade the stock. It is a momentum based mover at the moment, so you could just use basic momentum setups to take advantage of this trade, but obviously make sure that you're using right stops, because the spread is going to open up and then you're gonna you know, get caught off guard. You might even have to take less size because of that, and you know, just trade accordingly. So trade accordingly is what I'm trying to say on Circle. High priority tomorrow. SMCI pushed to the downside today, mainly the convertible notes news, but it's right back into, you know, into a very big support area, and into a golden cross, not 50-day moving average. I think that's what it's called, golden cross. The 200-day moving average is also flattening out and about to possibly curl back if this starts to show more support in this area. I'm not saying there's no trade to the downside. There could be if we do start holding below 40, but that's the key level. The stock needs to hold below 40 for me to be interested. You could say, you know, there's a level at 41, but I think it's more important that psychological $40 for me. If it starts to show weakness below 40, maybe there's a short there to be involved in for a bigger move to the downside. But I think, like I said, if I am looking for the shorts, there's a better trade here to keep an eye on, and that's Circle. There's maybe even HIMS on a pop tomorrow into 45, or even a pop into today's high. There's no way I can see HIMS trading above today's high tomorrow. If a HIMS pops into today's high, I'm looking for a short without a doubt. So keeping an eye on trades like that instead of possibly SMCI. But if it's below 40 and staying below 40 on pops, I think there's a short there to keep an eye on. ASTS, I think this is a little extended at this point. Let me quickly turn on that indicator shows you that it is currently 12.73 ATR times its 50-day moving average. So it's a little extended to start a new swing long, and that could mean that it's also possibly a little extended to look for a new day trade for the long side. Maybe not. It's an all-time high. It's all-time high. I'm trying to psych myself out from looking into a long in this name. I think as long as you see buyers coming in above 50 tomorrow, today's VWAP is yesterday's VWAP, surprisingly enough. So that's actually a very, very good indication for the long side, which means if the stock even pulls back into this area, you could potentially find a long into 47, 46.50, and then a move back up for the day trade. So that's possibly still on the books. The fact that today's VWAP is yesterday's VWAP, today's price is yesterday's price. For those of you know what that joke is. ASTS, I think as long as it's holding 50 or 46, which is the second line of defense, or not 46, 46, 50, 47, which is the second line of defense, I think there is some longs over there. Once it starts holding or stops holding this area is when I think we can start to look for a bigger short on this name, because it is extended AF. So keeping an eye on this name for sure tomorrow for some sort of you can't say first red day, because today was, you could say kind of a day one move, right? Today was potentially a day one move. So watching 50 as an inflection level, and then watching 46.50 to 47 as support. If that ends up not holding, then that ends up turning into a short trade for me. CoreWeave, let's watch CoreWeave. I didn't really watch CoreWeave today at all, so I don't know how it traded. I know how bad of me, right? So CoreWeave recently broke out. Looked like a failed breakout over here, but it bounced right off the 9-day moving average. So looks like a fairly decent pop off the capitulation over here. Nice capitulation, actually. Maybe I should even write this up in my notes. I'll actually put it in my notes over here as a reminder to write up CoreWeave capitulation before I go to bed. And a nice capitulation long back into VWAP over here for CoreWeave. What does this mean tomorrow? I mean, I don't really know. I don't think CoreWeave is an important name for me tomorrow at all. Yeah, it's a recent IPO. There's a hype because of Circle at the moment. CoreWeave is an AI name. CoreWeave was Circle before Circle was Circle. So you can use all these excuses to kind of put yourself into a trade on this name, but you know, if you're a day trader, you want to focus on the highest probability setups and the most active names on the day, and that's potentially going to be Circle tomorrow and not CoreWeave. But doesn't hurt preparing for it, I guess. But I just don't have a setup that I can just be you know, very excited about just off of a glance. So if tomorrow, if maybe you see a traditional setup, an opening range breakout, a trend line breakout, a wedge breakout, a falling wedge, a rising wedge, ascending triangle, if you see any of those on the 5-minute, maybe you can take advantage of CoreWeave at that point. But I'm gonna pass on diving deep into CoreWeave right now. RKLB with a monster move into all-time high. Are we seeing? Ooh, are we seeing RKLB getting ready for a breakout? You know, this is gonna suck because I was long RKLB right here. No, I wasn't. No, I was long RKLB here, and then I got stopped out in this move over here. And then I see the move, and then a drop, and then a move back up. So that's a little upsetting. So hopefully RKLB creates some sideways action for that bigger breakout move to the north side. So clearly on watch. Today's day 1. You could even say day 3, honestly. Day 1, day 2, day 3. So hopefully some sideways action around 33.50, 33.30 before that breakout actually ends up playing out. But if that sideways action doesn't want to play out, what you do have is a clear triple top, and that triple top breakout would hopefully trigger some short selling, stops, and you know, take the stock much higher. So for sure keep an eye on this. 33.35 to 33.50 at the moment is something to keep an eye on. Not blue, we're gonna go with purple. And I'm also going to set an alert for myself so I don't miss out on this name tomorrow, just in case I do forget it. Teladoc, is this important? I guess, you know, if I remember correctly, the catalyst was... what was the catalyst? Damn it. The catalyst was... Citron is now speaking well about them. Which I found pretty funny. So I guess, hey, if the stock gets above $8 and finds buying above 8, there is an easy long to $9. But if it's not holding above 8, there's no trade at all to begin with. So that's what I saw at a quick glance on this name. So I felt like it was worthy enough to put it on the watch list. That's a pretty big volume spike after a big dying down of volume, going sideways, even after the earnings report, just going sideways from the earnings report. It is below the 200-day moving average, which is you know, obviously a boner killer. But if it's holding above 8, maybe that's a pattern changer. We're starting to get back above 9 and starting to look healthy again, especially if a very well-known short seller is now talking well about them. I'm not sure exactly what talking well about them means, but you can always dive deeper into that. The point is, the chart is speaking to me. It's saying if it's holding above 8, there could be a long over there. So I'm just going to keep that one on watch. Cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is currently blasting off to the north side. Where is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is now red in the after hour market or the overnight market, but we were having a pretty good pop on cryptocurrency today, and that's actually taking some of the crypto stocks like Coinbase, not MSTR, but Coinbase back to the upside, and obviously Coinbase recently ripped insane off of the Trump tweet. I think it was a Trump tweet if I remember correctly. Whatever. So Bitcoin moving up, Coinbase moving up. That obviously puts us on watch for Circle. Circle is a cryptocurrency name. Coinbase is a cryptocurrency name. IBIT is a way to directly trade Bitcoin on the stock market. So that's obviously something that I'm keeping an eye on, and those are my ways to track track Bitcoin or trade Bitcoin. BKSY wasn't really something on any of the watch lists, but as I was scanning my own watch list, I saw that Blue Sky, or now Black Sky, I thought it was Blue Sky, but Black Sky Technologies had a decent relative volume day. Their average 30-day volume is 1.3 million. They traded 5.2 mil today, and today they were up 15%. In the same sector as ASTS in the space sector. So maybe whatever reason ASTS blasted off today is the same reason Black Sky blasted off too, and it was actually a continuation for the last few days. So you can see how today was day 3, day 1, day 2, day 1. So 3 days of continuation to the upside over here on Black Sky. Angry Buddha wants me to take a fuck you, Angry Buddha. We're not taking this is a RGC clone. If you saw RGC, this was basically an RGC clone. That's hilarious. Okay. BKSY, so possibly going parabolic at the moment. I'm not sure if we can find a long unless it pulls back and holds on the pullback above yesterday's high, above today's VWAP. Some of the simple technical levels, and gives you a very clean technical setup to be involved in, but expecting volume to die off and some sideways action to be taking place on this name going forward, and then we can actually be putting ourselves into the long side for a swing trade is what I'm looking forward to, because it's also in the same sector as PL, which is a big name in my swing account. I'm big time invested in PL, so watching PL hold around that $5 makes me very happy. Watching other stocks in the same sector go up makes me happy, and watching BKSY go nuts at the moment obviously puts it on my radar and makes my ears perk up on that name. So for sure interested to see how this stock moves over the next few days. Last but not least, Microsoft. Microsoft did blast to a new all-time high today, so basically taking out, I guess, the most recent highs that we've been creating, taking out the high on AI news and AI growth and so on in general, basically gearing up for the ultimate move in the market, which is the all-time high break. So now the most is Microsoft. Let's actually ask AI this question. What are the top 5 public companies by market cap? So that's my answer. I mean, I didn't have to really Google it or use AI to tell me that, but I just wanted to show off that, hey, I have AI tools at my disposal. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Anyways, Microsoft, top 1, Nvidia, 2, Apple, 3, Amazon, 4, Alphabet, 5. So those are your top 5 companies at the moment, and you can see that being reflected on the stock market, right? You can see Microsoft well above its all-time high, previous all-time high, I should say, and above the 200-day moving average, whereas the previous love of the market is well below the all-time high and below the 200-day moving average, and struggling to stay above 200. So just goes to show how quickly the tides shift over here, the market and the companies and so on. Shout out to Apple. I just love seeing Apple burn. Never going to own Apple products, but I did own Apple shares at one point. Thankfully, I no longer have to own Apple shares either. But I might have to eat my words if Apple does start looking bullish again, and then start looking into buying some Apple shares for myself. Okay. Anything else that I need to talk about? Because I feel like I talked about most things. Obviously, Microsoft, you want to see it hold above. I didn't really talk about any levels on Microsoft, so let me talk about that. Microsoft, you want to see it hold above today's VWAP, wherever today's VWAP is on the 5-minute chart. You also want to see it hold above the previous all-time high, which is basically yesterday's high, 483.50. So on any dip on Microsoft, 483.50, which is, I'm guessing, where today's VWAP is also. Today's VWAP is 482. So between 483 to 482, you want to see Microsoft showing support on those dips. If it is showing you support on the dips and the market is also looking bullish, looking green, then I think Microsoft might be a very, very easy long tomorrow. Might be one of the easiest longs tomorrow to be involved in for the day trade. TA saying, I like watching Nike slide. Is Nike still sliding? That's pretty sad. Let's go check out Nike. It's not sliding. It's just kind of, you know, ranging sideways at the moment, just doing its thing. The tariffs deals obviously didn't really help out the stock, it's at least it's holding its 50-day moving average at the moment. It's not doing too bad. Potentially on a good earnings report or a good catalyst, it's popping right back to the upside. So keep an eye out for it if you are short, Mr. I like watching Nike sliding. But yeah, that's your overall story. Do I even need to talk about the market? We had the leader of the greatest nation in the world, the United States of I don't want to make a joke and get in trouble. The greatest leader of United States of America, we'll just call it how it is, said that there is apparently ceasefire and peace brokered. So if that is the case, then the market obviously possibly getting ready for that move into all-time high that we've been dying to see it play out. Nice little bounce off the 21-day moving average on the QQQ, and potentially we're gonna see 540 or higher very, very soon, and eventually we want to see obviously the Fed rate cut also being involved in this narrative, in this storyline. That, ladies and gentlemen, is basically all she wrote. Let me quickly see if there's any IPOs for us to take a look at before we call it a night. If not, then we'll take a look at the econ calendar, and then I'll see you guys next time. So there is an IPO tomorrow, but it's very small, so don't have to worry about that one. A little bit of a bigger IPO we got on the 26th of June, so we'll obviously look into that on the 25th. Make sure you tune in on the 25th at 8 o'clock to learn more about Jefferson Capital. But the small IPOs, I don't really care about small IPOs. The bigger ones are where the juice is usually, so not gonna care about FMFC. For the econ calendar, anything spicy that's gonna move the market? Looks like nothing really too spicy. There is a couple 3-star events. Oh, there is spicy. Fed Chair Powell testifies at 10 o'clock. So you got 3-star event, also CB consumer confidence at 10 o'clock. So potential market movers, a 2-year auction at 12 o'clock, and then Fed member at 12:30. So a couple, potential market moving economic events. So for sure, you got to be careful around those times as a day trader. But I think the bigger storyline at the moment is, what is it? Buy the dip, short the VIX, fuck Bitcoin. So if you do that, you're going to be right on 2 cases. Because if you bought the dip, you would have been a winner. You would have been a winner. If you shorted the VIX, you would have been a winner. You would have been a winner. And if you say fuck Bitcoin, I mean, you're not really a winner at the moment. But 2 out of 3 isn't bad. That's a good hit rate. So shout out to the TV show industry. On that note, we're going to call it a night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck on the market. Surf the waves with the rules, right? Make sure you're applying your rules. Use proper risk management always, and take advantage of all the free money. Also, I should disclose that you could also lose money on the market, so make sure that you're reading the disclaimer down below. Also, make sure you're clicking the links down below and all of that fun stuff. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Trading is a hard business. You can lose money in trading, and I'm not a financial advisor. My videos keep getting striked down, apparently because I'm running a cryptocurrency scam. So I just have to say that out loud just to be safe. No diter, no sound. Is there no sound? Okay, I think you just don't have sound. No, diter was not here maybe, but Oh, I forgot to take a look at Barkit stocks. I'm sorry, Barkit. Let me take a quick little look at your stocks over there. APP. You want me to take a look at APP? Is there actually no sound? Hold up. Don't tell me there's no sound. It shows me sound is being picked up. Okay, APP. Hopefully I didn't do a whole stream to absolutely nobody. That would be very sad. Or I mean absolutely everybody with sound. No sound, no music. What are you saying, brother? No, I hear your voice. Okay, that's good. Okay, Barky wants me to take a look at APP. I'm not sure what the catalyst is. I mean, the stock has been losing volume for quite some time. The earnings report tried to revive the stock. They had a lot of short reports. You might want to do more research. No music in the background. It's just lower. There was music playing. It's just lower. Anyways, AppLovin, not sure what the reason is to take a look at this name. I think it's not really an in-play name for the day trade, but for the stock market, for the swing trade or whatever, I think this is basically, you know, weak now. You can see how it's breaking the previous supports. Maybe this is an undercut and rally from the 50-day moving average if it's actually able to get back above and show some buyers. But I like to buy stocks that I actually know something about, or at least the chart looks really good, at which point I can ignore the company and what it does. And sadly, I don't think AppLovin is in that category, right? With all the short reports, with how the chart looks at the moment, I'm not sure I'll be interested in this one for a swing trade at all. And NBIS, yes, I think this is one of the more hyped names recently. You know, I think I talked about this with you. It's still pretty bullish overall, as long as it doesn't get back below 40, in my opinion. You can see how now you have the golden cross. I'm pretty sure that's what the golden cross is. I could be wrong. If I am, I apologize. But you got the 50-day moving average crossing the 200-day moving average, and that should potentially bring in some technical buyers. But ignoring that, just the fact that the stock has a lot of good sentiment recently, a nice little breakout over here, pullback and showing you support, potential undercut and rally sets up over here, potential bounce and support sets up also. You can see how, like I said, I like watching how the stock behaves on the midpoint of big volume days, and the midpoint of the big volume day is exactly where the stock is bouncing off of at the moment. It has brought in buyers every single time above that midpoint already, and when we are dipping into that area, it's finding buyers above that area. So all things are looking bullish for me, and I might even look to buy in some of this area over here near 47, near 45, and risk somewhere down over here if it starts to look weak over here for a loss, for, you know, some great gains for the upside. Let's see if the stock ends up setting up for those bigger gains. But ideally, getting back under 40 would ruin the pattern for me as a swing trade. This is a little bit of whatever, but you know, still pretty bullish as long as it doesn't get back below 40. So hopefully you're still watching me Barky, because I did forget to take a look at that, and I apologize. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the stream. I'm gonna turn the fan on at full speed because it is absolutely hot and I am dying. Maybe I should go take a cold shower. I'll take a cold shower before I go to bed. It is stupid hot, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. Where's the fade to black button? All right, peace. Hopefully you guys are joining me on that great side. Markets are moving around. Might just be a risk on type of day, so let's see what happens. 8 o'clock tomorrow. As you guys know, we do the stream Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. Shout out to my affiliate sponsors, Benzinga, Trade Ideas, the #1 scanner to go to, Trader Sync, promo code down below, promo code PRAD15 to get 15% off. I will catch you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Until then, TraderPrad out. Adios.